Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to another episode of the Washington Commanders franchise here on Madden NFL 24, and today is time for the 2025 NFL Draft. We'll see where the next wave of players goes in their football careers. If you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. It's a big one, as I've been very excited for this. Now, we don't have a first round pick this year, but it still is going to be exciting to see where these players fall. Here's a look at our roster going into the draft. The last episode in free agency, we added Tyron Smith to be our next left tackle, and Kirk Cousins is officially no longer a Washington Commander. So, new era coming into Washington. Michael Penix Jr. will take over, and you can see the team on your screen. Still think we could fill up a couple of offensive line depth spots, as well as maybe add another skill player for Michael Penix. As here is a look at our picks. We have second, third, the Bears fourth, 2 5s, 2 6s, and 2 7s. Now, before we get into the draft, though, here's a look at the mock draft to see where the experts think it'll go. It'll be very interesting to see what the Jets do with the top pick. Drue is currently mocked to them at number 1. They do need a quarterback desperately. However, Travis Hunter is still there. Mykel Williams, Will Campbell, Harold Perkins. A lot of good players at the top of that draft board for New York to take a look at. Now, before we get into the draft, there's 3 trades that take place before the draft. The first, the Bears are going to be trading Tyler Lockett after 1 season to the Arizona Cardinals for B.J. Ojulari and a future 4th. The next pick, the Buccaneers, they're trading Chris Godwin to the Colts for Grover Stewart, a future 4, a future 6, and a future 7. So Tampa Bay trying to beef up that defensive line with Vita Vea and company. And Godwin goes to Indianapolis, another target for Anthony Richardson. The Bears again are going to trade another wide receiver. This time DJ Moore is being traded to the Rams for a younger Joshua Palmer, as well as a future 3, 4, and 7. If you're wondering why Bears traded 2 wide receivers, they had Marvin Harrison Jr., who they selected number 1 last year, and Darnell Mooney, who is now a superstar. So Chicago completely revamps their wide receiver room. So now it's time for the 2025 NFL Draft. It is here, and with the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Drue, quarterback out of Penn State. The Jets do end up going QB after all, and well, it's a new era. Rodgers lasted 1 year. He retired. Wilson played again starting last year. It was a disaster, so they go on with Drue. With the second pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Bear Alexander, defensive tackle at a UFC. So the Buccaneers had Vita Vea. They just traded for Grover Stewart, and now they have Bear Alexander, who is an elite player in this draft class. That defensive line out in Tampa Bay is going to be a nightmare. The third pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Harold Perkins, linebacker, LSU. So the Saints get a hometown boy in Harold Perkins, a guy who is arguably one of the best pass rushers in this class. He's fast. He's got a great finesse move. He's going to get to the quarterback. With the fourth pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Will Campbell, offensive tackle out of LSU. So the Panthers try to get some more help for Bryce Young in that offensive line. It's interesting, though, because that leaves Ike Ekwonu kind of in a sticky spot. But if they move him to right tackle, they have a very good tackle duo. With the fifth pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Bears select Mykel Williams, defensive end out of Georgia. So the Bears go defense here as they look to stop the run more with Mykel Williams. He is definitely a big-time stuffer, probably more well-rounded than Perkins, actually. With the 6th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Travis Hunter, cornerback out of Colorado. And with that, I think the Texans get the steal of the draft. I cannot believe he fell all the way to 6. This is, in my opinion, the best player in this draft class. Houston Texans, they get a future lockdown corner. With the 7th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU. So the third LSU Tiger is off the board as the Seattle Seahawks try to extend Geno Smith's career a little bit with a very good tight end who's fast, quick, can catch the football, another target. In the 8th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Deion Walker, defensive tackle out of Kentucky. So the SEC players continue to go. Vic Fangio 2 years ago had a great defense out in Miami. He went to Pittsburgh to be their head coach last year. Their defense kind of fell off. They try to fix it here with Deion Walker. With the 9th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. Hunter's going to get all the love in this draft class, but if he wasn't in it, Will Johnson would easily be the number 1 corner in any draft class. He is an elite corner and a great player for the Las Vegas Raiders. With the 10th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Evan Stewart, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. So early on, the Jets are already hitting a home run this draft. They get their quarterback of the future, and they get him a future number 1 receiver. Evan Stewart is a stud, easily the best skill player in this draft class. With the 11th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle out of Texas. So they try to help their offensive line and C.J. Stroud in his development. Larry Tunsil's not going to be there forever, so they try to get a good left tackle replacement in Banks Jr., and he is, in fact, a good one. With the 12th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Danny Dennis Sutton, defensive end out of Penn State. So the Rams lost Aaron Donald this offseason to the Vikings in free agency. They try to get his potential replacement in Dennis Sutton Jr., and he will indeed get to the quarterback. So the Chargers are on the clock next, but we have a blockbuster trade to announce. They are trading this pick to the Detroit Lions for 3 first-round picks, a future second, a future 4, and a future 5. The Lions are giving up a ton to get this selection, which can only mean one thing. With the 13th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Cade Klubnik, quarterback out of Clemson. Goff left for the rival Packers in the offseason, and they draft his replacement. A big-time gamble here for the Lions, who made the postseason just a year ago. They will have this draft bank on how Klubnik does. So now with the 14th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jaheim Otis, defensive tackle out of Alabama. Another very good run stuffer. Needs to work on his late down, like as a pass rusher, but as a guy who will stop the run, Otis will do just that. With the 15th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Mitchell Stanley, quarterback out of BYU, and this is the most interesting pick in the draft. He's only 65 overall, but he's got hidden dev. He has an absolute cannon for an arm, and what does this mean for Anthony Richardson's future? With the 16th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Tegra Tishabola, tackle out of Ohio State. So the Cardinals are still stuck with Kyler Murray and his contract for the foreseeable future. They try to draft a tackle to help him at least extend to his career. Has some work to do, but a very strong pass blocker. With the 17th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Davison Ignabosun, cornerback out of Ohio State. A fellow Ohio State guy goes off the board. Another solid selection here, another solid corner to say the least. Is a very good top-heavy corner class, and Tennessee gets one. With the 18th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Trevor Etienne, halfback out of Florida. So the Ravens, they traded for Brian Robinson Jr. from us this year, and they tried to get another power back in Etienne. Interesting call for them, I have to say, but Etienne is a very good running back. With the 19th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. So the Giants continue to try to beef up that offensive line, with Daniel Jones still back there underneath center. He's a good blocker, definitely going to be a day one starter for them at left guard. With the 20th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Aaron Anderson, wide receiver out of LSU. So the 4th Tiger is off the board. They have Keenan Allen, but he's getting older, so they try to draft another target, a very good, well-rounded player, and Anderson is very good at getting off of the line of scrimmage. With the 21st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Dasan McCullough, linebacker out of Oklahoma. So the 49ers get a solid linebacker to learn from Fred Warner. More of an off-ball linebacker, but I definitely think he could develop his pass cover skills. He could definitely be an all-around player. With the 22nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jeremiah Alexander, linebacker out of Alabama. He is more just a strictly third down rusher. He can play. He's going to play the edge. He can't cover, but he can get to the quarterback. With the 23rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Sonny Styles, safety out of Ohio State. So the Bills, who made the Super Bowl just 2 years ago, trying to get back to that point. They lost Micah Hyde after that Super Bowl run. Well, here's his replacement and Sonny Styles. With the 24th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Emory Jones Jr., guard out of LSU. So another Tiger off of the line. The Tigers made it to the playoffs this year as the SEC winners, so a lot of them going off the board. Jaguars, they get a good pass blocking guard. Needs to work on his run blocking though. With the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Nick Singleton, halfback out of Penn State. So the guy who shared the backfield with Drue now goes off the board, and the Chargers get a good one. With Austin Eckler not getting any younger, the Chargers don't wait to draft his replacement in Nick Singleton. With the 26th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Donovan Edwards, halfback out of Michigan. So already the third running back off of the board here in the first round as the Vikings select Donovan Edwards, a solid halfback who can definitely help out in the game with Bo Nix in the backfield. With the 27th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Damani Jackson, cornerback out of LSU. A very good guy to complement Patrick Surtain out there in Denver as they continue to build off of a playoff appearance this year. Another solid corner in this stacked corner draft class. With the 28th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Bryce Ramsey, halfback out of Florida State. So another back off of the board here. This one I don't like as much. He's a good pass-catching back out of the backfield. He's fast. He can also help on special teams, but we'll see how that works with New England. With the 29th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. So he'll pair back there with Minkah Fitzpatrick as the Steelers continue to build their defense up in the post era of Mike Tomlin and Vic Fangio, a defensive-minded coach, having a good rebound with the Steelers. With the 29th pick, or 30th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Alonzo Hankins, halfback out of West Virginia. Little perplexed as to why they picked him. They still have Tony Pollard, who's still very good at his age, but I mean, he's going to help in the passing game as well. And I'm not complaining with the Cowboys not picking the best player there. With the 31st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Chiefs select Sean Boykin, safety out of South Carolina. We saw how Kansas City got shredded defensively in the Super Bowl, and they try to fix that here with Sean Boykin, a pretty good center field safety who can develop. With the 32nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Shamar Stewart, defensive end out of Texas A&M. The Eagles did a very good job at getting to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and they add a little bit more depth here with Shamar Stewart, who is a little raw, but is solid in almost all areas. So that'll bring to an end of the first round of the 2025 draft. Obviously, we did not have a first-round pick. The Jets were able to capitalize on our pick and get Evan Stewart. And obviously, the big trade for Cade Klubnik was the highlight of the first round. Now, we're going to not go through every single pick of every round. Round 2, we'll still go through the majority, though. So let's go right into it. With the 33rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Larry Campanaro, tackle out of Texas Tech. The Jets continue to hit home runs on the offensive side of the ball. They get Drew Allar, they get Evan Stewart, and now they get a tackle to help them in Larry Campanaro. A good draft for the Jets. For the 34th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Luther Burden, wide receiver out of Missouri. I'm a little salty for this one because this would have been my pick here in the second round if he made it to us. They traded Chris Godwin. Luther Burden is a great replacement. Excellent at getting off of the line of scrimmage and very fast. With the 35th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Devin Brown, quarterback out of Ohio State. Interesting pick here for the Eagles. They get their backup to Jalen Hurts. He'll sit on the bench. He'll learn a little bit. It's interesting to see what the Eagles do with Devin Brown in the long run. With the 36th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Josh Connery Jr., tackle out of Oregon. This is the pick that the Bears got for the Bryce Young trade a few years ago. And they get a little bit more help for Justin Fields. No new quarterback out in Chicago. Fields is still rocking out there, and now he gets a guy to protect his blind side. With the 37th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Bears back on the clock get Chauncey Cook, halfback out of Iowa. So back-to-back offensive players here for the Bears. Another pass-catching back there for Justin Fields to add to another target for him. With the 38th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Shiloh Sanders, safety out of Colorado. So Deion's son is off the board. This is the pick that Miami got in the trade for Elijah Mitchell in this season. And he's a very good safety, a hard hitter. He can play off the line of scrimmage and in the box. So a solid, well-rounded safety there for Miami. With With the 40th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins back on the clock select Donovan Shaw, tackle out of Tennessee. This is the other guy I wanted to fall just 2 more picks, but he doesn't, and the Miami Dolphins get to reap the reward. A good blocker for the pass game. Needs to work on his run a little bit, but a solid tackle to say the least. With the 41st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Marvin Jones Jr., linebacker out of Georgia. Another defensive player here for the Raiders who hit a home run with Will Johnson in the first round. They get a guy at the linebacker core in Marvin Jones Jr. So that brings us to our first selection here of the draft, pick 10 of the second round. And we're actually going to make a selection here. We're going to select Richard Amos here, a safety out of Louisville. My top 2 guys got selected, but I think Richard Amos is a very good safety here. You can see hidden dev. He's a hybrid player. He's going to play on defense right away. I like his skill set. He's fast. He can cover. He can hit. You know, especially we play a lot of big nickel packages where we play 3 safeties on the field, and Richard Amos gives us that flexibility, so he will definitely see a lot of the field as a rookie. With the 43rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Andrew Wiggins, safety out of Michigan State. So I wonder if we stole the pick here of the Cleveland Browns, but Wiggins is also a good safety, more of a zone type of player, can't play as much in the box, not very good off of the block shed, so we'll see what his and Amos's career looks like. With the 44th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Taylor Colon, another safety, this time out of Miami. So 3 strong safeties go off the board in a row. We'll have to see who got the best one. I was looking at Colon a little bit, but I am glad that we picked Amos with our selection. With the 46th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Clint Turk, tackle out of LSU. So an offensive lineman here for the new quarterback in Green Bay, Jared Goff. And it's another player out of LSU. Solid blocker, needs to work on his finesse blocking a little bit against those speed rushers. With the 47th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Michael Bates, defensive end out of Utah. So after the shocking selection of Mitchell Stanley in the first round, the Colts go defense here to potentially replace Grover Stewart, a big, strong player who's pretty raw in Michael Bates. With the 48th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Keon Graves, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Cardinals really haven't had a number 1 since Hopkins left, and they try to get him here in Graves. I like the pick a lot. I think he could definitely be a big part of that offense. With the 49th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cody McKee, right guard out of Michigan. So Tennessee, they're going all in with Baker Mayfield. He signed him to an extension. He played pretty good for Tennessee. So they're trying to protect him now with McKee, who will be a day 1 starter for them. With the 50th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Trent Westbrook, defensive end out of Alabama. Another good player out there for Baltimore. Just a little bit raw, but he has hidden dev. He's strong. We'll have to see how he develops for that Ravens defense. With the 51st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Chandler Wilds, safety out of USC. He's a pretty solid box safety, I would say. Pretty well-rounded, but a little bit raw, a little in the coverage game in the man department. Needs to get off the blocks a little bit more, but I think it's a solid pick for the Giants. With the 52nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Christopher Franklin, another guard out of LSU. LSU had a great offensive line this year, and the Falcons are trying to cash in with Christopher Franklin. It's good in the finesse game, but a little bit raw in the other departments. With the 53rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the 49ers select Caleb Barnett, cornerback out of Arizona. A solid cornerback here in the second round. Another very good corner and another very good selection here for the San Francisco 49ers. With the 55th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Deion McBride, cornerback out of Penn State. So the secondary players continue to get off the board. This is where the drop-off happens a little bit. McBride's still a very good player, but not on the same level as Johnson and Barnett and company. With the 58th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Ricardo Berry, defensive end out of Penn State. Ricardo Berry is a player that will learn behind Aaron Donald, who's now in Minnesota, so he's got a great mentor for him in the Vikings. With the 61st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Nasir Weber, defensive end out of Michigan State. Big Fangio continues to add to his defense. Not a surprise, and he gets another one here in Weber, who's a very good run defender. So that'll bring us to the end of the second round. This will be the last round where we kind of go through the majority of the picks. The other rounds should go a lot faster. Let me know what you thought of our picks in Amos. I liked Sprinkle. I didn't highlight him of the Chiefs. I thought about maybe getting him as a pass rusher, but we did not. So here's a complete look at the second round. So now we go into the third round with the 66th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Thurman Ware, cornerback out of San Diego State. So another hidden dev corner off the board. And it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who get him. He needs to work on his coverage game, but with that hidden dev, you never know what can happen. So now we'll go to our pick here at 74 as we're back on the clock. I looked at the trade offers here in this pick, and I didn't really like any on the board. So we are going to make a selection here, and we're going to try to add another weapon for Michael Penix. We're going to get tight end Noah Clancy. I thought Ali played pretty good last year, and I thought Mo Cox was a little disappointing, but I still think we can improve at the tight end position. So we take Noah Clancy here. He's a little bit overrated, I have to say. I'm a little disappointed. Only a 68 overall. He had pretty good ratings for catching and blocking, but it turns out he's actually a little bit raw in his route running and his run blocking. So he's got a little ways to go, but Noah Clancy will still compete for playing time. So that'll bring us actually to an end of the third round. We take a tight end that will compete on day one for a position with Mo Cox and Eric Ali. And we try to give Michael Penix Jr. another weapon. And you can see the rest of the selections here throughout the third round. The fourth round, we had a pick here, the fifth pick of the fourth round that we got in a trade from the Chicago Bears and Diamador Lenore. But we're actually going to trade out of the fourth round here. We're going to trade with the Vikings. We're going to get a future 3 and a future 7. I don't mind moving up for a future better round next year. So we don't take anybody here in the fourth round, so we're just going to actually fly right through it. You can see the selections, a lot of defensive players off the board, a couple of players on offense. There are some players falling, though, in the draft, which we'll highlight in just a second. That is a little bit of foreshadowing, but here's a complete look at the fourth round. So now we get on to the fifth rounds where we have a selection, our fifth round selection here. And we're going to make a selection this time. We're not going to trade the pick away. We're going to try to help out offensively a little bit on that offensive line and our depth. And we select Roy Herbert, a guard out of Texas. Normal dev, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. He's got some good traits. You know, he needs to work, obviously, on a lot. He's not the strongest. He's not the best pass blocker, but he's a very good lead blocker. So if you get him in space, he can definitely make some damage there. Now we get into the 140th pick of the 2025 NFL Draft. The Cincinnati Bengals select fullback Sammy Blanton. I gotta highlight the fullback, man. He's an 80 overall, and he's the third best fullback in the league. So if you want best value, that's a good one. So now we come to our second fifth round pick, and there's a guy who's been slipping on the draft board. Sean Long was projected to be a first or second round pick, and he's still available in the fifth round. I know his ratings aren't really the best, but I mean, why not? He was projected a first rounder. So we select Sean Long, and he has hidden development. So we get another hidden dev player here in the fifth round out of UTSA. He's a little bit raw, not the best wide receiver. That's why he slipped, but that hidden dev is intriguing. So we'll give him a chance to compete. He needs to work on his hands in traffic, but he's a pretty solid short route runner, and he can get up and get the football. So I think I like that pick. I'm interested to see what Sean Long can do. He'll obviously get a lot of playing time in the preseason as well. So let me know what you thought of our two fifth-round picks. We get a right guard to help with some line depth and a wide receiver that's got a very interesting skill set and future if we can unlock whatever that dev trait is. Here's a look at the rest of the fifth round. Going to the sixth round, we actually had back-to-back picks here. We got a pick from the Seattle Seahawks in a trade, and we're actually going to trade out of that first-round pick, and we're going to trade it actually back to them as we give them for a future 5 and a future 7. Actually, that was the Raiders pick, I'm sorry. But we do make our second selection. The next pick, we're going to select Alfonso Kemp, a tackle out of Vanderbilt. He's not the best player. He's a strong tackle, but definitely our weakest selection here of the draft. He's only a 62 overall. Kind of like Herbert, he's a very good lead blocker, but very, very raw in all of his other aspects and not a good finesse blocker at all. So that gives us to the end of the sixth round as we make one selection here. And we have two selections as well in the seventh round, and they're also back-to-back as we actually got both of our picks from the Sam Howell trade when we traded him to Las Vegas early on in the season. But before we get to those picks, here's a look at the rest of the sixth round selections. Diego Gomez was the guy I was thinking about. He got selected in this round. But in the seventh round, once again, back-to-back picks, and once again, we're going to trade out of our first pick, and ironically enough, we're going to trade it to the Seahawks again. We're going to trade a 7th round pick for a future 6th. And then with the second selection of those two, we select safety Damian Bowen out of Texas Tech. He is a very hard-hitting safety, kind of like Amos earlier that we selected in the 2nd round. He can play in big nickel situations. He can play in the box. He's not bad in that regard. Needs to work on his coverage, though, but as far as laying the hits, he can do that. Now, we don't have any more selections here, but I do want to trade back up into the 7th round. We have a ton of day 3 selections next year, so I don't mind trading 2 of them. We're going to get Ricky Dockery, a wide receiver at USC. Another guy that kind of showed me some interest, maybe trying to recreate the Sean Long hype that happened in the 5th round. He's not as good development-wise as Sean Long, but he's a 68 overall, and he's kind of on that same level. So he's another wide receiver that will compete with a host of them in the preseason. And that'll bring us to the end of the 7th round, and actually it ends of the 2025 NFL Draft. So we make quite a bit of selections here. Overall, I thought it was a very mediocre draft for us. We never really hit a massive home run. I think Amos is going to be a good selection. I think Long has a lot of intrigue with that hidden development in the 5th round. But the other picks weren't really lighting the world on fire. We made 7 in total here, but we have a lot more capital next year, including a 1st round pick. So here's a look at our final roster coming out of the offseason. We're going to sign a couple more veterans in the training camp preseason part to battle. But as of right now, this is what the starting lineup looks like. So let me know what you guys think of the team. Did you like our draft? Do you think we could have did something different? Let me know in the comment section below. But the offseason is starting to come to a close, which means year 3 will get underway shortly. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure you drop a like and you subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.